Once I put aside my own need to get home to Seattle and accepted responsibility for turning off the EMP, the universe seemed to reward my sacrifice with a ride to Colorado Springs and the opportunity to redeem myself for all the selfish choices I'd made along the way. Jack Hastings said I'd find the EMP satellite controls at NORAD. The facility was buried deep inside Cheyenne Mountain, just a few miles outside Colorado Springs, which happened to be the place I grew up. Until I went off to college, I'd lived in the shadow of that mountain, under the watchful eye of my strict Pentecostal parents. But when Janelle got pregnant with Kizzy before we were married, that was too much for my parents.
Son, we cannot bear witness to your life of sin.
They were never a big part of our life after that. A real sore spot with me. But I was determined to leave my past behind. So I stayed the course, headed for NORAD. If you thought that facility was hard to get into before the fall, it seemed impenetrable now. Each entrance had been welded shut from the inside, all except one. The north tunnel entrance was protected by massive blast doors a quarter mile in. Stood outside that tunnel day after day, waiting to see some sign of life, some clue of how to get inside. After a week, though, it was getting hard not to lose hope. Told myself I'd give it one more day, and this time, the universe rewarded my patience.
Blast doors open in 5 minutes, Sam.
But even with a path laid out before me, the final steps to get inside still required a leap of faith. Convincing yourself that the universe has a plan for you is one thing. Convincing someone else of this is something entirely different. Despite my reservations about Parthia, I'd come to believe that shutting off the EMP was best for everyone, and that meant getting into NORAD. But Sam Rhodes didn't care about any of that. He was just trying to run a business, not save the world.
Get the hell out of here and maybe I won't shoot.
I'm not leaving. I have to get inside.
Wait a minute. I know who you are.
Thought he was going to say the Walker, but Sam recognized the military goggles Graves had given me in Vegas, so I let him make his own assumptions.
Your cartel.
Suddenly, I had the upper hand on Sam, who was running trade in a cartel zone without their permission.
Blast doors open in 1 minute.
Sam begged me not to do this, said it would blow his trade arrangement with NORAD. I assured Sam his sacrifice would be duly noted, and I'd have no reason to report him to Graves. Since the fall, Sam had been trading books and DVDs for batteries, vacuum tubes, and other valuable items. He had their trust because he used to work at NORAD. Said a few weeks after the fall, all civilian personnel were given the option to leave the facility at their own risk. Unfortunately, it was a death sentence. For everyone but Sam.
Did you get everything on the list?
Everything but the apples. Something's really wrong with the crops this year.
When I heard the doors shut, it was hard not to celebrate. I was finally getting closer to the truth. Not to mention getting closer to death. I wasn't expecting anyone to roll out the red carpet for me at NORAD, but being treated like a terrorist was a bit of a surprise. The staff inside hadn't survived the fall so much as they'd avoided it, and odds were none of them would make it outside if they ever left the hardened facility. Colonel Angus Nixon.
Who are you and what the hell are you doing on my base?
I knew my intentions were good, so I told him the truth, that I was just passing through and stopped by to save the world.
Hastings sent you, didn't he? Goddamn Parthia scum.
If I work for Parthia, why did I come in here unarmed? While many of their satellites were still functioning, they had only a rudimentary understanding of what was really going on outside.
You have any idea what caused it?
I told them everything I had heard about the EMP satellite weapon system, how it was still on and at least partially responsible for the fall. They knew exactly what I was talking about. That much was clear. So I decided to just come out with it. I'm here to turn off the EMP.
Not gonna happen. Not on my watch.
Nixon was a career soldier, third generation, lived by the military code. So unless he was given a direct order, he was not shutting off any satellite system.
Besides, EMP can't make people disappear. I'm no scientist, but I know that much.
I explained how things were changing in ways they couldn't see from space. How the world seemed to be mutating from prolonged exposure to the EMP. In the end, it was actually Johnny who saved the day.
I think I speak for most of us in here, sir, when I say it's at least worth a try. If we can leave this place, we can help put the world back together. Maybe find our families, get our lives back.
Bottom line, Colonel Nixon was afraid, just like the rest of us, and he feared that turning off the EMP might somehow make the situation worse outside. But the possibility of making the situation better inside for all his staff, that's what finally won him over.
Anything bad happens outside, I turn the EMP back on. And you, Mr. Shoemaker, will never leave this facility. On my mark, Staff Sergeant.
One of the most seductive things about technology is instant gratification. How so many things are possible at the simple push of a button. After the fall, though, nothing was simple anymore. I was forced to learn the value of patience. And yet, watching Johnny and Colonel Nixon turn off the EMP, I felt that old urge for instant gratification, that desire to save the world with the push of a button. It's said that unrealistic expectations are the root of all suffering. Looking back on it, my expectations were downright delusional. I was so convinced the universe had led me to NORAD to fulfill some grand destiny that the disappointment was crushing. But out of that failure came a moment of genuine enlightenment.
Mr. Shoemaker? Just wanted to thank you for trying, and well, the Colonel made me read your journal when we caught you.
He was just trying to cheer me up, but showing me my home in Seattle did so much more than that.
Sorry, sir, but we're gonna lose the connection.
He reminded me why I started walking in the first place. He turned my trip to NORAD into a success. Johnny had analyzed the data from the EMP satellite network. He said the system was designed with a failsafe that required deactivation at remote relay stations around the world. The data was encrypted, but he was able to decode the location of the nearest station, Treasure Island, an old naval base near San Francisco. And with his clearance card, Johnny said he could get me into that facility on one condition.
You have to take me with you. I want to see if my mom's alive, and my sister, and all my friends.
The chances of Johnny surviving outside were slim to none.
Just so you understand, once you two leave, I'm sealing these doors forever.
They had enough supplies inside NORAD to last another 10 years, and that was good enough for Nixon, but it wasn't good enough for Johnny. He was the one who'd convinced the Colonel to start trading with Sam in the first place, not just for remnants of a world long gone, but for stories of the New World. And for the chance to live in that new world, Johnny was now willing to trade his very life. It was one of my father's favorite quotes.
When one door closes, another opens. But we often look so long and so regretfully at the closed door, we miss the one that opened for us.
It's like I just walked into another world.
I asked him again if he'd considered going back into NORAD, but he'd made up his mind. He wanted to check on his family and friends.
Here, just in case.
I knew Johnny's fate would be determined by the EMP, so I asked him if he wanted to know how long before the next pulse, but Johnny was too busy living to worry about death.
Man, I forgot how good the sun feels on your face and what it's like to breathe real, unfiltered air.
Watching Johnny, it dawned on me that I'd been so caught up in the tragedy that I'd taken for granted all the joys I still had, the simple pleasures. I'd heard so many stories about the fall, even got a glimpse once or twice, but I never thought I'd witness it firsthand. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. It was divine, otherworldly, completely beyond comprehension. It was also like nothing I'd ever felt, the incredible sadness of watching a man's life just vanish into thin air. The fact that Johnny risked everything for the slim chance of seeing family and friends again, his courage spurred me to check on my own family. My parents didn't survive, and the thought of them dying like Johnny sent a cold chill up my spine. They still cherished the simple pleasures, those rare, fleeting moments when we'd actually been a happy family. Finding that photo in my father's favorite pocket watch made it clear. It was me holding the grudge all those years, not him. For a moment, I was overcome with intense regret. But then I thought of what my dad might say.
When one door closes, another opens.
And I finally saw the wisdom of his words. NORAD didn't turn out the way I'd hoped, but coming to Colorado Springs brought much-needed closure to my past. It also gave me the key to open another door, to a future that would hopefully make my parents proud.